We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast. It's Matt and Brandon back again. We have a big win to talk about. We have some playoff stuff to talk about. We have a big road trip weekend to talk about. But absolutely. Yes. Yes. That yeah. Especially a rivalry game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. um, we're getting started. Sucks. I guess. I'll ask before I say this. Did you get our timer set up, or okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, hey, it's all right. I just wanted to ask before I say, let's go with around the Massel in 90 seconds. I sped run it earlier at 60 seconds here, so. Oh, not as I'm ripping them all off back to back to back to back to back. Yeah. No, I'll rip them off and then we can talk about it. I just got. No, mine's. Is it on your end? Do I need to?
I know why.
Why?
I'm stupid.
Oh, okay.
So they've been able to hear you this whole time, and I've been dumb. So hi.
Brandon.
It wasn't a technical issue. It was a layer 8 issue, aka the user. So yeah, I'm glad you could hear him because he was actually talking about important things. I'm just here. So
we gotta get a producer.
Clyde, do you want to be our producer? Dog just looks at me like, what are you, nuts? I'm not getting involved in this. All right. Around the league in 90 seconds. I'm sad because you don't want my commentary, and so now you'll just
get your time after I drop my 90 seconds.
All right, fine. Just go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Week 15 in the MASL kicked off on Wednesday with Kansas City completing its California trip with a 4-3 win in the final minute over the Empire Strikers, taking home 6 points. Friday, the Strikers fell 8-4 against the Sockers. The Stars took the first of their 2 games against the Heat by a score of 8-2, and Monterey came back from an 8-5 deficit with 5.5 minutes remaining against the Outlaws to win 9-8 in regulation and remain unbeaten. On Saturday, the Wave handed the Blast their 3rd home loss of the season, defeating them 7-1. KC scored with 3 seconds left in regulation, and then less than a minute into overtime, Reggett finds the net, and they steal 3 points at home from the ambush. The Flash thrashed Dallas 12-1, completing their sweep of the Dallas-Fort Worth area teams,
Yep.
and they locked up the number 1 seed in the East. We'll talk more about the playoff seeding a bit later. Sunday, Outlaws bounced back. They beat the Sidekicks 9-6. Steph Mijatovic scores in overtime to all but secure the 4th playoff spot in the West for Tacoma. And again, we'll talk a little bit about that later. Chihuahua completed their season sweep of San Diego 5-4 at Pachanga Arena. And as we said, Utica They scored 9 unanswered goals en route to a 10-2 victory over the Blast.
So good.
And that is what happened around the league.
Nice. 10 seconds remaining. Good stuff. Proud of you. Also, to our first-time listeners, welcome. It's good to have you. Glad to see you.
Glad to have more people in chat.
Yes, it always makes things more interesting for us when we can try and go back and forth with y'all. So, welcome in.
You see Huber's comment? Well,
I don't know about that.
I'll be the smart one. You can be the sexy one.
You are the stat man, and I am just here.
I just got a glare from across the living room.
Peanut Gallery strongly disagrees.
You're biased. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
I don't like hair.
All right.
So that's everything that happened. Throw in your 2 cents.
I don't have. I might have a quarter. Okay. So, a lot of things that we kind of expected to happen. Flash. I mean, they've just been on a tear. Obviously, this whole season.
Yeah.
The Outlaws game was awesome to watch. I really thought, I'm like, man, this is going to happen. And then the keeper went down for Texas and went down in spectacular fashion, which opened the floodgates for Monterey to just completely come back and just take over this game. So I hope Cortez is doing better. I hope that he's on the mend, because man, if he had not gone out, I don't know if Monterey would have won that.
Yeah, I'll say I didn't watch that game at all, because I'm tired of watching Monterey win.
I wasn't sure they were gonna.
As much as I like Texas in the West, because they're very similar in style to Utica. They're going to run, they're going to gun. They've got some veteran guys that'll play at a different pace to change things up.
Yep. But
it just feels like Monterey's got that team of destiny feeling going right now.
Kind of feels that way, yeah. But just touch on a couple of things real quick. The Heat and the Stars, I mean, that one, I didn't have high hopes for the Heat to begin with. Unfortunately, they're just not having a good season, plain and simple. Soccer's an empire. Me being an Empire fan, of course, I want to see them do good, and they had some some moments, but it just wasn't enough to take down the Sockers. I mean, that's a tough team to go against anytime, anywhere.
Even with all of their injuries.
Even with the injuries, doesn't matter. Doesn't take away from them. Blast in the Wave, that was a shocker. I did not expect them to get decimated at home. That is, I feel that. It makes me think of I'm thinking of the Mexico trip that we took a few years ago and had to watch us just get dominated. So I felt that one. Ambush in the Comets, exciting up until the last minute. I had a group of friends. We were all sitting there watching that one up until the very end. Could not believe the second to last goal, last goal in regulation, and then for the Comets to come back and just win it was amazing. I wasn't sure how the second Heat and Stars game was going to go. I mean, the Heat went up. I was rooting for them, and then they dropped the ball. Other than that, I mean, not a lot of surprises. Chihuahua beating San Diego. That's like the Blast going against Utica. It's a 50-50 every time they go against each other. It doesn't matter what arena they're in. And well, I mean, yeah, Chihuahua usually has a better chance at home. But
I was gonna say Chihuahua's won like 5 games in a row in that series.
I know, but I always feel like going in it could be a 50-50, regardless of what I mean, I said the same thing about Baltimore and Utica, and we've gone 4-1 against them in this season.
Yeah.
So I still say it's a 50-50 going into every game with those two teams, and I say the same thing with Chihuahua and the Sockers. Mm-hmm. So overall, a very exciting week.
Yeah. No. good competition all around. Some playoff things are coming into shape. We'll talk about them after we get past the Utica Baltimore game. Harrisburg, we've seen this from them a couple times this year. They get up 3-4 goal, like a 3-1, 4-1 lead, and then I don't know what happens, but Pat Healy changes his mind on their strategy and is like, we have a lead. Let's play to not lose now instead of playing to win. And they just kind of like park the bus.
Oh, you mean, take the foot off the gas?
Yeah.
We've never seen that before.
Oh, it's not even a park, like take the foot off the gas. They put it in park, they walk away from the bus, and they hope the bus is enough to, like, you don't get around it. It's just blocking the road.
Yeah.
But they're in a spot where they can play spoiler down the road. St. Louis, same thing. Dallas, same thing. Weirdly enough, some of the best games this coming weekend might be Dallas at Harrisburg. To see who
I have
the battle for the first pick in next year's draft.
I have my own name for that, and it's not nice for the podcast, so I'm not going to say it.
The battle for the bottom.
Close enough.
Okay. That's what went on last weekend. And
well, I mean, just not. We have one game to cover in detail, though.
We do. We have our little home game here. Though I believe it was a funeral, from what social media told me.
That one aged well. I was worried about that tweet. I was worried about that what was it? Facebook post, tweet. It was both.
Every one of their social media ones had.
Just the blast that they put out on social media. Yeah, I was a little worried that was not going to age well, and it did. Very well, in fact. It wasn't even a contest, honestly. I mean, they got the first one that was off of a I think it was a handball. I want to say it was a handball. Oops.
So
mute that.
According to the play-by-play, that set piece was because of a foul from Santana.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was a handball.
Which I watched that play again and again and again, and if there's a foul, it is softer than a goose down pillow.
Well,
especially considering we saw horse collar tackles in this game that went uncalled.
Oh yeah. I mean, considering he literally I don't know which ref it was, but the one that was in the corner,
Austin Sayini,
that was closest to the play, actually had to look across the field and be like, had to confirm it with Foster before actually making the call. So it was like, I wasn't 100% sure if that was actually a call. Do you think it was a call? Like, it was questionable to say the least, but whatever. It gave them the one up, and
then where they spotted it was back at top of the arc, but the foul should have been like just outside the box on the left-hand side. So if that's where the foul was, then that whistle was later than whichever one of those officials delayed the game by 10 minutes because they couldn't make it to the arena on time.
Because of traffic.
Yes.
Traffic in Utica is brutal.
Utica City traffic.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, it definitely gets pretty hectic around the odd around game time, but not really anywhere else. He self-propelled himself in. Come on.
Great win for Utica, though. Let's talk about your stat that tells the story.
Andrew Coughlin. Easy peasy on that one. Andrew, Mr. Stretch Coughlin, coming in with the big old 88. This man is trying to go back in time. He had a stellar performance. Whatever got past the defense, which, the defense, again, had a very good spread of block shots. According to the stat sheet, there was blocks by Fernandez, Gio, Juan, of course. Frank, or not Frank, I'm sorry. Ronaldinho, Nelson, of course. All around team, a good team performance on defense. Whatever got past them, Andrew was just like, no, that's mine. That's mine. That one's mine. I mean, 15 saves on 17 shots. Come on. That is a stellar performance. So that's there is no better stat there for me than Andrew Coughlin's save percentage.
I mean, I already said mine in the little wrap up. 9 unanswered goals.
Yes. 9.
They held Baltimore scoreless from that first goal came like a minute 10 into the game.
Yep.
And they didn't score again until there were under 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah. And that's not including stoppage.
Yes.
So you figure
massive. Huge defensive showing, obviously, with Coughlin in goal. And playing a team that had some guys playing who should not have been playing due to injury. They're not supposed to play back-to-backs, but out of necessity they had to. They're down Diegues, who filled the role that they desperately needed, and then put the team on his back and hurt his back, trying to carry this team into the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, not having that offensive weapon was definitely a problem for them. But from who at least who we've talked to, it seems like there's a lot of hurting guys on that team right now. So hard weekend for the Blast. I feel that, we've got one coming up. So
yeah, their playoff hopes have all but evaporated.
Yeah.
They're not eliminated yet, but boy, their window got a lot smaller.
It's a tough road for sure going forward. They've got the Mexico trip this weekend. I mean, this weekend, if you thought this weekend was tough for them, next weekend's going to be brutal. Going to, I believe it's Chihuahua first, followed by Monterrey. I might have that. No, I don't have that backwards. Yep. Chihuahua on Friday and Monterrey on Sunday. It's they have a very tough weekend ahead, and that's coming off the heels of this tough weekend where they got completely blown out by two teams that I did not expect them to get blown out by. Our predictions were much closer than what happened.
Yes, they were.
But just shows that, I guess it just shows that we actually, have some respect for that team. And considering we actually had very close knit predictions for the most part, and that's not what happened.
No, not at all. Pardon me.
How dare you?
You're, I guess I'll lead it off since I just let you lead it off, and I just played it changed the game.
Yes.
Gordy Gerson doing Gordy Gerson things.
You suck. God, you suck. You suck so much. Same. I'm not changing it. Same.
Yeah.
No,
he had Quantrell Jones coming in off the bench ice cold. But that little stutter step broke some ankles. Almost as badly as Nilton broke some ankles down at our end of the field.
Almost as bad as some of your taunts broke my brain. What?
Yeah, well. Look, I had that one much better lined up, and it just vomited out. Yeah. I just wanted to know if he ever got licensed after that proctology exam, and it just stumbled.
You put too much in front of yourself. But yes, that one, the Gordy's goal. Gordy doing game-winning Gordy things. It wasn't a game winner, but close enough. I mean, he was literally on. He was doing what he normally does. He was on the line, like, this is mine. I'm taking this shot. Yep, this is gonna happen. Nobody's taking this away from me. Just holding the ball, just waiting, like getting his mind right. Whatever he does up there, like, yep, this is mine. I'm taking this.
No, it's great to have him back after the hamstring and ankle and getting stepped on. Yeah, that's been a rough season for him health-wise.
Yep.
But if he's 90% going into the playoffs, that's a huge addition to this offense.
Yep. And yeah, Huber got to the question before I did about Jake that, yeah, I doubt very much that he's going to make that Mexico trip. I mean, you know, he literally just got signed on, has his own obligations. I mean, yeah, I don't see him traveling down there, to be honest. I would be very surprised if he did, because I know he does, like, you know, he likes to play. But I'd be very surprised if he makes that Mexico trip. Sorry, just wanted to address.
No, you're good.
If I had to pick a secondary goal, though, because there was one other play that also got the place hyped up, and it was Isak's. Because
yes,
what's better than a hometown hero goal in the hometown? I mean, there's not much that is better than that. And he's always got the, you know, his celebration that just gets everybody going.
The little penguin walk.
Yeah. So it would either have to be that one. Sorry. It would either have to be that one or it would have to be Gio's goal that was literally not even 30 seconds after. The fact that we had that quick follow-up and just got another one, it's like, all right.
Yeah, the floodgates had opened at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to go with either one of those. I mean, it was like, all right, I see where this is going.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't take Nilton's shorthanded goal.
That is true too. There was so many to pick. This was a good game.
Baltimore came in with the best power play team in the league, and we held them scoreless on both of theirs.
Yep.
And technically, we converted ours.
Yes.
Because of Gordy's shootout.
Yep. Yes, we did.
But no, it was a well-rounded, everybody chipping in kind of game. 3 guys had 2 goals each. The other four goals came from 4 separate players. Just a good, solid team victory.
I have to. It's going to be a shameless plug, but I have to address the comment in the chat about Gordy's play. Yes, absolutely. He plays so much better in front of the crowd. In front of that Utica crowd. I mean, they fuel him, he fuels us. But you do have a typo. It is not the 6th man. It is the 7th man. So, shameless plug.
Yeah. And it's shameless because that is available on our TeePublic store. You can get yourself your own 7th man jersey with the KCP Shield logo on it. I mean, honestly, that came out great. You get to pick your color, so you don't have to just do blue.
Yeah, I just picked blue because it looked good.
And they've added tie-dye if that's the mood you're feeling.
Yeah. I had to lead off of that. I'm sorry, okay?
No, you're good.
I'm not apologizing to you.
What needs to change coming out of this game?
Don't get cocky. It's not necessarily something that needs to change. It's something that they need to keep in mind. Don't get cocky. Yes, we came out of this with a great win. We started real flat, number one. Need to come into the game ready. Need to come into the game hot. And we didn't. And maybe that could have been because of the delay. Who knows? It messed with everybody. But again, it's not necessarily something that needs to change, but it's something that I've seen in the past happen. We come out of a couple of games or a big game. Shameless plug, the link in the chat too. I get that hint. You can handle that?
I think I can, yeah. Storefront.
it's, again, not something that necessarily needs to change, but it is something that we're going to need to keep in mind for the next game, this coming weekend especially. Don't get cocky. Yes, we beat Baltimore. Yes, we beat them handily. That doesn't mean that the next couple games are going to be a cakewalk, because they sure as heck are not. So don't go into the next game, and especially don't go into our next home game cocky, because that leads to disastrous results. So, but that's all I have to say on it. It's like, just keep it in mind. Let's not get cocky off of this one. It was a great win. Relish it. Enjoy it. But go into the next one with all the vim and vigor of this game, ready to get another one. And don't just think it's going to be handed to you, because it will not be.
Right.
Milwaukee wants our spot.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
they want it.
So here's what I think needs to change. That is, you're saying cocky. I'm just going to say slow starts in general. Utica has failed to score first in 3 of the last 4 games. One of them was that terrible loss at Baltimore. This one, and the loss against the Flash. They're 1-2 in those games. The one game where they did score first was against Milwaukee.
Yep.
And this one could be a good chance to continue that trend, because before Milwaukee scored the opening goal on Friday night at Baltimore, they had failed to score it's either failed to score first or trailed by multiple goals in 7 straight games.
Yep.
So even though they're 12-5-2 and 3 points behind Utica, they've kind of been slow to get the gears going. So you need to take advantage of that and jump out. So when they get into the second half and are firing on all pistons, you can withstand some of that storm.
Yeah. Going down and then chasing.
Yeah.
It's never fun. And it just makes the game that much harder. If we can do what we've been doing up until this point and actually jump out to a lead, then obviously that's going to be way better, because, we've seen problems with our team over the years, especially in the third quarter. Not this game, but in the past. Third quarter curse. There's a reason we call it that. And if we can have a comfortable couple of goals ahead of us, or on the books before we get to that point, we've got some breathing room going into the second half. But when we're chasing, it makes it tougher to get to climb that mountain. And we don't want to put ourselves in that position every single game like we've done over the past 3 games. Because in some cases we've climbed it, in other cases we have not. Also, if you don't have the link, I do.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Did it not pop up? Because it might be because I'm on my personal account at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't even see it come up on the thing. It's not even in the...
No.
I'll just do that. Even though it...
tpublic.com/user/keeperscornerpod.
Oh, I had the link directly to the thing. I didn't even see it.
Okay.
I put it in as my personal, and I didn't even see it on mine. I was just making sure it showed up there. I'm trying to be nice. Somebody asked for it, so I'm making sure it makes it in there.
Oh, did you maybe just have your set to top chat instead of live chat? Could that have been one?
Oh, yes. It is set to top chat. All right. That makes more sense now.
But I just switched back to live, and my link is gone, so I wonder if community guidelines hit it.
Worst case, check our social media. We'll put it out. How about that?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be right now. We don't have to do it right this second, but we'll put it out there regardless.
It actually might be on our YouTube page as well, like on the channel.
Fair enough.
Positive takeaway from this one?
I cringed a little bit just because of the two negatives that came out of it and their potential repercussions on the rest of the season.
Yeah. Look, for me, it's the positive takeaway is we have beaten the Blast at minimum 4-2 for the season. We've won the season series against them. They're the biggest rivals this team has, and it just feels good.
We swept them at home. There we go.
Yes.
We swept them in our home, in our house. So we can at least have that. We at least have that under our belt. So I'll take that. Yes, we did not let them win in the Adirondack Bank Center. So that is a big positive. Yes, we dropped one in their house. We could potentially drop another one in their house, or we could take that one. Who knows? But yes, we at least did not let them win in our house. No, I think you're gonna laugh at me. It's not even a positive takeaway, but it's just something to keep in mind for every single game going forward. I don't care how warm it is in any stadium that they go to. Belliard needs to wear his gloves at every single game. I don't care. He took them off for one game, and we lost. And that was the Baltimore game. He wasn't wearing them in Baltimore. He has to wear them everywhere. Get sweaty hands. You don't need your hands to play soccer. Belliard can't take them off.
I mean, it was warm in the odd, so,
it was toasty.
wear those gloves the whole time.
Anywhere. He's just not allowed to take them off.
Yeah.
I don't care if they have to duct tape them on. He has to wear them. No, I just think overall the positive takeaway is just, like you said, we swept them in our house. We've won the series against them for this season. That is not something that's happened in every season. So I will take that as a big positive going forward. And moving into the coming weeks.
Yes. And the coming weeks are going to be very important.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with this one. And I guess we'll explain why going through the playoff situation. But first, let's address the injuries.
Yeah, this was a rough game.
Our two biggest scorers, two of the best scorers in the league, went down.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank went down before the first half ended, kind of limped off under his own power, made it to the locker room, came back out for the second half, still dressed, but stayed on the bench the whole time. By the fourth quarter, he was wearing a hoodie. Game's already decided at that point. No reason to risk aggravating whatever he did.
Yeah, I think if the game had been playing out differently, I'd be willing to bet he would have came back out on the field if coach let him come back out on the field. But as it was, they didn't need to risk it. Plain and simple. They did not need to risk it with him. Give some of the younger guys more time on the field, and that's exactly what they did. So it was the smart decision. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he'll be back with us for this coming weekend because we will need him.
Nilton, on the other hand, very hesitant to say if he'll be available in the next couple of weeks. He was on crutches post-game. Not a good sign.
Had to be carried off.
Yes. And when he did so, just not good looking.
No.
I watched the replay on the video. He is able to dive over the defender that kind of tripped him up, but it's when he comes down on his right foot and then kind of just skips a little bit. And my worst fear is something Achilles related. That just terrifies me.
Yeah, of course. You know, anytime any player gets hurt in a game, you know, of course we're going to get worried about them. Both personally, because, you know, we've talked to all these guys. I mean, you know, they're all just great people to begin with. And then to see them get hurt, it affects both. It will affect you both on a, like, oh God, I hope he's okay, and oh crap, what's going to happen to the team type thing. So anytime somebody gets hurt, you're going to have both of those things run through your head.
Yeah.
And no, Huber, I don't know if that comment is towards Frank or if it's to Nilton. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I know when we were talking last night that it seemed like the consensus was that potentially Frank was going to be fine, but I don't know if you mean Nilton or not. So when you hear this in the future, clarify, please.
About 30, 45 seconds from now.
Yeah.
By then, though, we're going to turn our attention to the other missing player who made a return for Krajishnik.
And had a good outing.
Yes, Mo NDI. It says Nilton. Nilton
All right.
should be fine. Okay.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I hope so. Like,
We need them both.
yes.
Plain and simple. Like, could we get by with one? It's going to make everything else a lot tougher on everyone else. But having both of them will help us, obviously, much more.
Like, you have the old guard stars, your Franks, your Ian, Childs, Pardo, Toth, you know, those guys. And then you have this new guard coming up, and it sucks to see one of them get hurt.
Oh, yeah. No, it
I don't know
does.
if you remember back to the USA versus World pregame split squad 2 years ago.
Yep.
Where Nilton and all them debuted.
Yep.
I left that going, that guy needs to be on the team.
And look where we are
And I don't know
now.
if Kate remembers, but when he was the announcing was signed, I was like, yes. Yeah, like, it's just something you can tell when a guy's on the field how competitive they are.
Yep.
And he and Fernandez and Keaton have all stepped up huge in their second year. Ronaldinho stepped up big in the third year.
I will say Keaton had a rough go of it coming back because he hasn't been, you know, he was out injured. And I'm surprised they didn't have him play for Krasnik first. You know, I know we had a conversation with one of the guys talking about that. You know, they came back to Krasnik and and it was such a great thing to go back through M2 and then come up back up to the main roster, and it helps a lot. So I was very surprised that they just dropped him right into, you know, the main roster. But it was good to see him play.
I was gonna say it might depend on injury. You know, on severity, was he able to run and stay in, you know, game fit? Or, you know, was it like, okay, we can't risk tweaking it more?
Yep.
But I rolled my ankle my senior year of high school, played on it for a month, finally got it checked out, and the doctor's like, yeah, you partially tore a tendon. Here's an air cast, just keep it wrapped, you're good to play. Yeah.
He started to show promise towards the end of the game. Like, we started to see the old Keaton kind of coming back towards the end of the game. But, again, slow start like everybody else. Just a slower one for him.
Okay. But now back, I guess,
to
what we were saying about NDI. Hopefully we'll be back. He should be back with the team as of today. Whatever was said, buried the hatchet. He is back, which is huge. And honestly, you know, it takes a big man to admit when they made him, to stand up for what they think is right, and a bigger man to admit I was wrong and apologize. So
yeah,
kudos.
No, I'll be glad to see him back on the field for us.
Yes.
You know, it was fun watching him on Krasnik. It's better watching him for Utica. Because he is an opportunity maker and he is a great distributor.
Yeah, after you left for your little side hustle there, we went over. I watched the third quarter. I think Huber stayed through the rest of the game, but hanging out in the same section with like Timmy and Gordy, and that ball at his feet, nobody was going to touch it when NDI had it.
I wonder
We're just going
why.
to back off and wait and see where it goes.
You do what you want with that, and we'll just try and deal with it.
And Wilkin really wanted to score a goal. He and Julian were both getting that work in. Wilkin was like midfielder with a defender back as like a sixth attacker at times.
That's not surprising with Wilkin, you know.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of confidence. He really does. And Julian's got confidence, but not the experience necessarily to back it up in some cases. He had some great saves last night too. Overall, you know, that I'm so glad we have an M2 this season and going, you know, hopefully I'm assuming going forward, you know,
we gotta get more fans in the stands for that. I don't know. I feel like there might have been more when they were on not Utica City days. I think nothing against that. Maybe if you put them beforehand instead of after.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, hey, the game's over. It's dinner time. Let's get out of here. Let's go to 72 and chat with the guys. And
yeah. Or promote it and be like, hey, the guys are all sticking around for the Krasnik game.
Yeah,
you know, come hang out.
Going to 72. They're going to be in this section after. They'll be down in.
They'll be in 212.
Yeah. There was no one there. Nah, they put everybody in the lower bowl.
I know. It's
weird sitting over in like 106.
Yeah.
I don't like this angle. I'm too close to the action almost.
They'll hear me.
I have to pay attention. There's not a net that could keep the ball from coming at me.
Well, that, and they'll easily be able to understand what you yell at them if you're that close.
Oh, like they don't understand anyway?
I said easily. I didn't say that they couldn't hear you anyway because you belt it. But you have to from 212.
El Capitan is retiring from the leadership role. Dylan Hundelt will be taking the band back when he returns this weekend.
Kind of figured that.
But Logan said that he is happy to retire with a 100% win rate as a captain. So, and he collected his 25th goal in his Utica City career. Congratulations, Logan. Well deserved. It's great to see the kind of player that I thought we were going to have in 2019, 2020, and moving forward before all the injuries derailed his seasons.
Yes.
That was a big sigh for just yes.
I was trying to collect my thoughts and I didn't have anything meaningful to add. Not that I add much meaningful anyway, but hey, I try. Sorry.
No, he didn't stick around to see Gordy feeding Wilkin alcohol during the game. When I left after the third quarter, I was heading home. It was a long day. There were overtime hours already worked. I had a needy person at home that was like, come home.
You know, that is an honest point that Steve made. You hear Coughlin with that. He has a very commanding voice on the field at times.
Yes.
I've definitely heard him belting orders before, or belting directions, orders, whatever you'd like to call it. And you don't hear that much from Wilkin. And I mean, maybe that could just be something as simple as he doesn't have I don't want to say the legacy with the team, but you know, maybe he just, I don't know. I just think that Andrew's got the rapport,
yes,
I guess, with the team, that he's able to do that.
Also different styles of people, you know.
Yeah, that too. Andrew takes control, plain and simple.
Yeah. You watch any Utica player get hit with a cheap shot, a cheap tackle. Andrew, if not the first person there, he will sprint from the other end of the turf.
Yeah, he doesn't take any crap from the other team.
The only one who might have beaten him in the past would have been Liam.
Oh yeah. Oh, Liam.
Yeah, I know.
What a personality.
We miss our barbarian style midfielder.
Well, like I was watching not to sidetrack, but maybe a little bit. I was watching some of the goal of the year nominees from a few years back. They all came up. Mo Kenaway, Gonzaga, Liam, Bordeaux. Well, I mean, Bordeaux's still around, but the other ones are not. And it's like, oh, the memories.
Yeah, with Bordeaux injured, only Roberts and Coughlin are the only remaining inaugural season players active on the roster.
Yep.
It's been 6 years, so there's turnover, obviously, but wow.
It's changed a lot.
It has, and Utica has embraced all the new guys just as much as they embraced the team when they first came in. So kudos to Utica.
Yes.
The fan base. Though, I will say, a little quiet this week, guys. Got to do better.
Yeah, the odd felt dead for a good part of that game. I was tisk. We tried to get y'all started.
I know.
Sometimes it just spit and sputtered, but
I really thought the "Where's Vanzella" chant would take off more.
I mean, trust me, he heard us. He heard us.
Yeah, Vittorio Petrera did play in the M2 game as well.
He played last week though, or the week before. I remember seeing him do the walkout. I saw Petrera go out and
look, if the Mayor's
Rafa
getting
go
back
out
into game shape.
Yeah, I've seen him in a couple, at least one other game. I remember specifically the camera was like they were literally walking out and the camera was right there, and it was like him and Rafa and stuff like that. So I'm like, I've seen him in a couple, which is great.
Even as a depth piece, even if he doesn't have, just hey. Let's talk playoff situations.
Yep.
Because it's really taking shape now, especially in the West.
Yes.
And they're kind of boring, so we're going to knock them out really fast.
It's pretty determined in the West at this point.
San Diego, Texas, Chihuahua, they've all punched their ticket. They're on to the Ron Newman Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
Chihuahua leapfrogged Texas to get to the 2 seed. They also have 4 games in hand. I don't know if they can make up the ground on San Diego. They're going to need some help if they want that 1 seed.
Yeah.
But I would not want to be Texas in the 3 seed looking at having to go to Chihuahua for a deciding game 2 and potential mini game.
No, please.
Tacoma has all but clinched that 4 seed. They have 27 points on the season. The Strikers, though not officially eliminated, have 9 points. Right? That's what I read. 9 points. And they have 6 games to play.
Yeah.
And because of the way that it goes, points, then regulation wins. If Tacoma loses their last 7 games and Empire wins their final 6 games, all of them in regulation for both teams, Tacoma would fall out of the playoffs. Like, this is that Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance meme. There's not really a chance, but technically, statistically, there is a itty-bitty chance.
There is a very small chance, but
like decimal points beyond decimal points.
Unfortunately. How many points? I'm sorry. 9 points, 8. So they're 18 points behind right now.
Right.
So that would be.
They would tie, but then they would have 8 regulation wins to 7.
So in other words,
they would sneak in.
If they lose this game to Chihuahua on Tuesday, they're out.
If they win in overtime, they're out.
Yeah.
They have to win in regulation.
Yeah.
Tuesday will probably settle the West.
Yeah, I think so.
Then we go to the East.
There's a lot of moving parts here.
Monterey's the only team that's secured a playoff spot, and they have secured the number 1 seed. They have won the East for the regular season.
No way.
Yeah, I know.
Impossible.
Right? what, 21-0? Who could have figured that one out?
Well, 20, right?
20-0.
20-0. Yeah, right now.
20-0.
They got to beat Chihuahua again for that 21.
Undefeated. I'm not going to call it a perfect season because they had to go to overtime, so they lost 2 points.
Yes, that is true.
So,
it is not. They will not get the absolute maximum this season. So it is not a perfect season, but it could be an undefeated season. It's
like
still on the table.
Baseball pitchers that went like 12 innings and gave up a perfect game in the 13th, but it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because the game didn't end. Baltimore, massive hit. They dropped 6 points. Kansas City gained 5 points with their wins. Here's where they are. They trail the Comets by 13 points. They have 4 games in hand. So even if they win those 4 games, they still need help.
Mm-hmm.
And their next 4 games are tough. They go to Mexico. They play Friday at Chihuahua, Sunday at Monterey, and then next weekend they go home to play the Heat, who are just out to play spoiler at this point.
Yes.
And have taken them to overtime twice at the Harrisburg Arena. Now, they will be at Tayou Arena, so advantage blast.
Of course.
And then after that, they head to Texas for the next week, and it's a midweek matchup against the Outlaws.
Yep.
I'm not going to count the blast out Friday. It's a small field. They're familiar with the small field. And they have one thing helping them. It'll be Chihuahua's 4th game in a week, 6 days. Chihuahua played Sunday. They play tomorrow, they play Thursday, and they play Friday. Could Baltimore steal a game there? Absolutely.
Yep.
Could Chihuahua under Hinoni Martinez, where they're averaging like 3 goals allowed per game, sub 3? I don't know how last night affected that average. It was like 2.78 in 9 games.
Yeah.
Could they just do what they do and shut the blast down, especially without Dieguez? Absolutely.
And I mean, you look at the track record that Baltimore has had in Chihuahua, specifically the Ron Newman Cup last year, and they lost.
Yeah,
they lost there 2 times in a row. 2, the biggest games of the season. Back to back, Chihuahua was able to perform 2 days in a row. Now, granted, the first one was closer, literally overtime, but the second game they just completely blew them out 10-6. So I mean, we know that at least against last year's team, and that was again, not to count out Zerhofer, but that was with Vanzella. That was with a lot of the key players that.
Okay,
the
Mello,
Blast,
Ferdinand, yeah. So
it's a different Blast team this year. If they don't have the right parts, they don't have full strength, full, Dieguez, it's gonna be a tough weekend for them. I was gonna get to that question. I was just waiting for us to.
I was waiting until we got to Utica.
Yeah. We'll get there. We have not forgotten about it.
Like usual, I'm saving the best for last and keeping Utica till the end. Kansas City, Milwaukee, they're tied, but the Wave have 2 games in hand, and the Comets only have 3 games left.
Yes.
And one of those is against Utica.
Yes, this weekend.
Yes, it is. Milwaukee trails Utica by 3 points for the 2nd seed, but Utica's got a game in hand on them. Friday's game is crucial.
It's huge. Huge.
Milwaukee obviously wants to get to home field advantage for the playoffs, at least for the first round, and a win pushes them farther away from a chance at having to go to Monterey for a first round playoff matchup.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that team.
No one wants to be that team at all, because it won't be a good time, probably.
That brings us to Utica.
Finally.
39 points, second in the East. As things stand, because of where Baltimore and Kansas City are, Baltimore's max points are 44. If they were to reach that, their regulation wins would surpass Utica's. So to secure a playoff game or just position anywhere, get in, Utica needs 6 points in their favor. That can happen this week. That can either happen because Baltimore drops 3, drops 6, Utica wins 3, 6, whatever. But if there's a 6-point swing between Baltimore and Utica, Utica is in. End of story. I mean, with Baltimore going to Mexico, there's a chance Utica doesn't even need to win either of these two games to get the playoff spot. But you obviously want to win home field advantage for the playoffs.
Yes, positioning. At this point, we're barring some crazy turn of events from this past weekend. We're basically playing for position in the playoffs.
Yes. We're playing for the 2 seed, home field advantage in the first round, and avoiding the flash until potentially the finals.
Sorry, they always do it when they score.
If somehow Utica drops 2 games on the road and Baltimore pulls off the most improbable upsets, winning both of those down there in Mexico, Utica still has 3 games at home. All 3 of them are against teams sub 500 that are eliminated from playoff contention. It's Harrisburg on St. Patty's Day, and then 2 games against the Ambush. Utica's 7-1-1 at home, with their 2 losses coming to the Flash and the Outlaws, playoff teams.
But we have lost to St. Louis at home.
Yeah.
Not this season.
No.
But we have. So just, again, don't get cocky.
We also lost to the worst team in the East on St. Patrick's Day before, but that was a very different team.
Mississauga. Miss that team.
Yeah, I'd like the Metro Stars. I wanted to go to Canada and check them out.
Same. I wanted to too. That would have been a fun time to go.
Yeah, the voice of MASL Mondays, Alex Banch-Javansky on the play-by-play. You had legendary Canadian soccer player Dwayne De Rosario on the team. It was like they just need a little bit of time. They had added Obasi headed into the second year before they ended up not being able to play.
And then we took him for a while.
2019, 2020, there was hope.
There was.
But
and then it didn't pan out.
Nope. So that's the playoff picture at this point.
Speaking of adding players.
Yes. So to answer N Weber 24's question in the chat, do we think Utica is going to make any moves for the playoffs? There's still some vets not on rosters.
I guess
you want to go first?
No, I'm going to leave this one to you first. I want to give this one to the stat man.
I don't see anything happening at this point. It's kind of late in the season. You don't really want to mess with chemistry unless it's for pure chaos. Our depth pieces are pretty good. Berger had a brace in this past game. Rafa has been fantastic since getting back to full strength. Just as Michelle calls him, he's been a menace out there.
He's always a menace, and we love it.
I mean, Timmy, when healthy, might have scored one of the biggest goals in Utica City history, just getting us on the board to bring the odd back to life against the Flash.
Yep. That was huge. Huge.
Cole Stevens has looked good in the time that he's seen. It's funny because I was like, wow, Gio Alves has kind of taken a lava role on the roster, getting a lot of playing time, not having those big impact plays, and then he scores 2 goals in this game. It's like the broadcaster's curse, but for good.
Yes.
All right. Even if they don't hear me saying that they need to step their game up, somehow they just magically step their game up when I say it.
They did. No, you incepted the idea into their minds. Yes. That's exactly what happened. Mm,
All right, now we're going to incept calling Pereira by a correct name in the Baltimore broadcast so I know what it is for sure.
Mijatovic.
Because until they do, his name is John Pierogi.
Pierogi.
That has nothing to do with the fact that he was chirping at fans while Milton was injured and just being a general scumbag at that point.
Wow, speak your mind.
Yeah, guy needs to get carried off the field, and you're chirping at him as he's getting carried off. Shut your mouth, man. Just be a good sportsman.
I have one move. One. And it's not even a move, it's a loan. I would be totally fine with a loan.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he's, at least I think this past week, I want to say he was listed as injured.
Uh-huh.
James Togba.
Yes, concussion protocol.
I know he had concussion protocol, but listen, St. Louis is out.
Yeah.
Can we borrow him? Can we borrow him, please? Everyone's loaning players to everyone else. You know, Steph's going to Mijatovic is going to.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but that's now like his bio has been updated and the syllable. When you put emphasis on the wrong syllable, it's been changed so that it says the toe is emphasized.
Yeah. Well,
Mijatovic.
You saw the podcast or whatever that Nick Pereira does. I
didn't check it out at all.
Okay, it's literally in the first minute that they address that, and Nick talks about how it's pronounced Mijatovic, which I feel like, if anyone would have pronounced it correctly, it would have been Big Z back when Steph was here, and it was always Mijatovic.
It was Mijatovic here. It was Mijatovic in Empire. And I've seen the game notes that Philly scripts up. I've seen the game notes that Ray scripts up. You're telling me those guys got it wrong?
This is going to be way out in left field, but...
Is it like the artist formerly known as Prince?
Hear me out. He's only on loan. Mm-hmm. So he's still an Empire guy.
Yes.
It would be the biggest troll from Steph to just be like, yeah, it's pronounced this way. And then go back and be like, yeah, it's actually pronounced this way. He would, if anybody would do it, it would be
his
him.
Fake birthday last year on April Fool's, that kind of fits.
See? Mm-hmm. It is not out of the realm of possibility that he is just being a massive troll. Or he trolled us.
Mm-hmm.
And Empire.
Yeah, who knows?
But maybe it's just that it's the West Coast pronunciation. That's what we'll go with.
The PNW up there.
Yeah. But yeah, that'd be my only pick. It would have been Steph if they didn't already loan him out. But...
Well, do you want to run with the rest of the Melcher plan that was there to fix Baltimore now that Baltimore is dead in the water? If we're going to get Togba, let's get Will Eske and call up Harrisburg and be like, can we get Dominic Francis too?
I would love to get Dom in blue. That would be... But I was thinking more defense,
Yeah.
Again, reinforce the defensive side of things. Schindler would have been a great sign.
Our depth is fine. Would it be great to add some veterans? I mean... guess it depends on these injuries, but if everybody looks good to go, I'm not losing any sleep over it.
I knew we were going to have Jake matched up with Frank this past weekend. I mean, that was just a given.
If this weekend happens, maybe we can get Jake on loan from Baltimore.
Yeah, after they just sign him.
Yeah. Hey, we just signed you to try to keep us in the playoffs, but we're out, so we're going to loan you.
Tommy, get on it. Get Jake. We need Jake. Come on. Do it. Should we talk about this weekend?
I guess we should. I was about to say, you want to talk about this weekend?
Yeah, I think we should.
So.
Well, we all want Toby.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, that's not up to us, Huber. That's up to the U.S. government. Oh, we didn't even answer that question that we said we were going to.
Touch on it now. I know
Okay.
exactly which one you're talking about. Let's get to that one.
So,
I like Dom.
visa issues, big issue in the league. We know it's a problem. On one of our Facebook posts, someone asked, why isn't the MASL under the United States Soccer Federation? Would that solve some of the visa issues? And one would assume being associated with the governing body for soccer in the U.S. would clear up some visa issues.
Agreed.
Why? We can't specifically say. But I Googled the indoor rules, and the first rule is on field size. And there are 3 teams in the league, 2 of them that don't even reside in this country. So it seems weird. That could be another thing. Like, would we have Mexican teams associated with United States soccer?
Because we're
That
more of
could
an
be
international.
something, right?
Yeah.
Could that be a thing? But their 2 fields don't meet the minimum sizes, and unsurprisingly, neither does the pinball machine that is Baltimore.
You always got something smart to say about that freaking field. I love it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, the minimum length is 185 feet, so Baltimore at 150 feet is
A little
short. I think the 2 in Mexico are like 165 feet, plus there's width requirements.
Yes.
They recommend you to be at 200 by 85. Utica's at like 195 by 85 because of the false wall. But, it might help that a coach in this league does work for the USSF as like a national team head coach on a very similar sport. Some guy named Everton Morera.
Yeah, some guy,
he
some
might
coach.
have a chance to, work some of the officials and the federation and, maybe. But who knows?
No, I mean, some of the stuff that I read too, just while I was kind of digging around for information on the USSF and, why, maybe why the MASL isn't necessarily under that umbrella. I mean, of course, it's the internet. There's a lot of speculation around it. Some of it is the fact that the USSF has a lot of similar leagues, beach soccer, futsal. So there's some overlap there. I use overlap with quotes. So some people argue that they're too similar and then it would take away from one fan base to the other. But I mean, you could also make the comparison of NFL versus arena football, and that the fact that they're 2 very different things. And, I don't know. I think that it could just be a different, I feel like if there was certain things in play, like you said, the, standardization of the field size. I think I would be willing to bet that even Baltimore would still try and find a way to get in with their current field. Just trying to get, because they are grandfathered into the MASL, so they would try and get grandfathered in there. I don't know.
Like I said, the next part of the question that we got was, hey, why are we not making these guys meet the USSF standards? And it's like, well, we kind of have an issue keeping teams around this league, so
yeah, that's a big problem.
Unfortunately.
So that's a big one. Is just, it's not. We feel it's very popular, but nationally, it's minor league compared to a lot of the other sports you see. We're not on TV.
Yeah,
we don't have that kind of exposure.
Look, the next sport I want coming to the Odd, though, it's something I saw out of like Germany, and it's football played on ice with skates.
Okay.
Yes. It is awkward watching them. No, I don't think they had skates. I think they were just like shoes. trying to run on ice in full hockey pads playing football.
Not even actually moving.
Yes. It was great. Watch the guy slide in for a touchdown because he fell.
All right. This weekend.
Friday night at Milwaukee, 7:30 time here on the East Coast, a.k.a. God's time, as Phil likes to refer to it on MASL Mondays and his other show there, Goals and Boards.
Yeah, that one.
We're 1-1 against him this season. We have yet to win at University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin Panther Arena in the history of Utica City. We need to get that off our back.
Yeah, that monkey's a problem.
Yeah. It's not even a monkey anymore. It is like
a gorilla.
Almost King Kong.
Okay, now you're just being silly.
Am
King Kong
silly?
would just stomp on you. He would fit a toe on your shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And then he would squish you.
Like, what is it, 5-6 straight losses at UMW Panther Arena?
A gorilla.
just a gorilla, a normal one. We're not quite at rampage levels yet.
Yeah, come on. It's not King Kong would be insurmountable.
It's a baby Kong.
Okay, baby, sure. Why not? Also the normal size of a gorilla, aka it's a freaking gorilla.
Okay, it's a Yeti. Sasquatch. The Bigfoot. The missing link. Because
why do you do this to me? All right. Okay, buddy. All right.
We're confident we can win there, but we don't have the evidence to prove it yet.
No. We've definitely, our track record says otherwise.
So even though we believe in it, like Bigfoot, it's just naturally blurry and out of focus. And that's why none of the pictures work.
And that's why we need to be focused this weekend, yes, so that we can actually take a win on their home turf.
Yes, we do. Get it out of the way before the playoffs, because if we have to play there, you really don't want that hanging over your head.
Yeah. And it's not that they beat us by much the last time we were there. No. They beat us by 2. Whereas when they were...
With Wilkin in goal and a flu virus thing rampaging through the roster.
Yes. So we were not at full strength in that game, just like, they would argue that they were not at full strength for our game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be just an all-out battle for this game. We've got one at home on them. They've got one at home on us this season specifically. Let's narrow the scope a little bit. Make us feel better about ourselves. I think this one's going to be a 1-goal game. It's going to be tight. It's going to go either way. It's going to be 1 goal. I don't know if it's going to be overtime. Could be in regulation, but I think it's going to come down to whoever scores first. Is really what I think it's going to be. It's going to be whoever opens up the scoring. If we can come out and be strong, be confident, come out with vim and vigor and score the first goal, then we have a really darn good chance. If we let them take control of the game early, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a bad time.
Ian Bennett is back to being Ian Bennett. He's got 22 goals on the season now. Mm-hmm. Same as a certain Andrade.
Yep.
I believe. 22 goals. Look, I think you gotta go back to that old strategy. Make Bennett beat you. Shut down Leite, shut down Huffman. Bennett can score, absolutely. But if he scores 3 and his, the rest of the Bat family there scores 2 goals, Robin and Batgirl and Batwoman and Nightwing and all the rest of them.
I was trying to figure out which one you were saying was trying to throw in there. Dark something. You're trying.
Crusaders. Batman Beyond.
Alfred. Just throwing him in the mix. Why not?
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon. Come on. Bring them all.
They're all part of it, but they're not the world's greatest detective, and they're not one of the MASL's best goal scorers. Make him do most of the work.
Yep.
And you'll be fine.
Do what Western teams do. Well, actually, I should say, reverse that. Shut down one, make them score with everyone else. What most Eastern teams do.
Yeah.
Don't funnel it all through one. Because they're going to be gunning for Frank. They're going to be gunning for Milton. For sure. They're going to try and do the same thing to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
At minimum, they're going to try and shut down one of them, which both of them are great targets. Frank with 33 points, Milton with 35. I mean, it was reverse. Well, Frank, I believe, was somewhat. No, they were tied this past week,
and then coming into this one, and then Frank got injured before he could score.
Yeah,
and then Milton got 2 before his injury.
Right. So it could, they can't. They could try and shut them both down, but it's going to spread them out.
And if either of them are out, it's up to other guys to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie's been kind of quiet of late. Fernandez has good games and quiet games. Good second year for him, though. Good third year for Ronnie. Keaton, second game back from injury. Let's get him involved. Gordy, really, really got to see if Frank or Nilton or both miss this game.
Yeah.
Gordy needs to take the lead. Just be that guy that we saw last year. We know you're capable of being.
That game-winning Gordy.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah, and I mean, we're both coming off of decisive wins.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's no...
I mean, over the same team. We just beat them by 8. They only beat them by 6.
Yeah, but regardless of who they played, they have Milwaukee's got the advantage. They beat them at home. We were on our home turf. So, we're both coming off of decisive wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're both kind of riding that high, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's going to be a tough game. That's why I'm not giving a score. I'm just going to say it's a 1-goal game.
Yeah. I would take Utica to win it. They have, this is a must-win game. Must win.
Yeah.
More so than Sunday. They lose this one, Sunday becomes must win.
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
You win this one, and you don't have luck at Cable Dama Arena for the second time this season. And your second trip there this season, you can live with that.
Right.
You need 3 points on this trip, and I would love to see them come at Milwaukee, like we said, just to break that curse.
Yes.
Get that little voice at the back of your head going, you can't win there. You never win there. Just silence it.
That sounds like a really annoying voice.
Yeah, kind of is. You okay there, Mr. Hanky?
No.
I agree with the peanut gallery.
It's a hiya.
Oh, yeah. So either one. I mean, this one, yes, I would absolutely love to see the win come here. But in our game on Sunday, if we lose this one, then that game becomes even more important. And speaking of Sunday...
And they've had some changes since we've played them last. Lucas Souza, or not, John Sosa and Leo Gibson are no longer with the team, it appears.
Mm-hmm.
I think Leo was listed as injured last week, whereas Sosa,
he made that
he was no longer a part of the team.
Correct. Yep.
We've seen how to beat them. We know how to beat them. You shut down Reggett. You make the rest of the team compete.
Mm-hmm.
And one or two mistakes, and you're under Neto's skin, and it's like a crumple zone in a car. Just folds like a lawn chair.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what happens when we get under his skin at home.
Yeah, we did.
We definitely felt that we played our seventh man role very well in that one, because he did not enjoy our company.
It was goal, specific heckle, goal, specific heckle, goal, and all that was in like a minute 14.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have a good heckle, and that was pretty much it for the scoring.
Yeah.
Right. Huber's bold, 7-6 Utica. Kansas City says tougher, overtime, 6-5. This one I could absolutely see going overtime.
Agreed. Yep, I could definitely see that as well. I think our last one there went to overtime. Am I wrong?
It did. It was
okay,
a 7-6 win in overtime.
Yeah.
Just like last year in the playoffs was a 7-6 win in overtime. And we beat them at Utica 7-3. So I have a feeling Utica's going to score 7 goals.
7. Yeah, 7 seems to be a popular number for Utica against Kansas City.
3 in a row against Kansas City.
And there was a shootout. If we get a shootout in this game and Gordy's taking the shootout, then I think we take it 7-6 at that point. But I'm not actually putting that in as my score. Like I said, I'm saying both of these games this weekend potentially are 1-goal games. Like I'm again, I want to give a score, but at the same time, I'm just going to go generally, and both of them are going to be real close, because all these teams are gunning for better spots in the playoffs. That's what's on their mind.
Yeah. It's going to be hard fought. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun to watch, hopefully.
Hopefully they come back with 6 points in their pocket. But
I'll take 3.
Minimum. 3 at minimum.
Even if that comes with a win in overtime and a loss in overtime, I would take that. That's still 3 points.
Yeah, whatever went wrong with Kansas City for the middle of their season, they seem to have figured it out. They're back. They shocked the Sockers. They beat the Strikers. They were playing their third game in under a week against St. Louis, and then came back in that one a couple times.
Yep.
So.
All right.
I think that's everything for us this week. Anything else from you, Brandon?
Nothing else other than let's just hope we got a good weekend. We're going to be sending them all the positive vibes from Utica, because I'm not making that trip. And I know we'll be watching. I'm going to have my crew at in my little watch parties that I always do every week or every away game, and we're going to give them everything we got, play our role, and I just hope they do the same.
Yeah. So Friday night, 7:30. Unfortunately, I won't be in the chat because there's a Comets game at home and duty calls at work.
Yeah, duty.
Sunday games at 5:00. So you could order up a pizza, have yourself a good time, some pizza, some game. All works out right around dinner time. Some sogs. And hit that like button, subscribe. I always forget to say that in these because not used to the lives yet.
Wait, we do lives?
Media, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got Threads that barely gets used at all because everyone was like, Twitter's dead, go to Threads, and no one uses Threads except companies pretty much.
Yeah.
Still got a Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. There's that TeePublic store, which you can find pretty much anywhere. You get your seventh man, you can get your Beat Everyone shirt or Beat Them All. Your King of the Massel, your Kid Dynamite, whatever. Got a whole bunch up there.
I will say this thing actually fits really nice.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I love TeePublic. I buy a couple shirts from them every year. Just support this podcast, support that podcast.
yeah, why didn't I get it for free?
Because I don't know how to do that. And the percentage that comes back to us is not a lot.
That just shows we just, put that stuff out there kind of more for fun than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. It is like, hey, I had an idea. Let's support our guys. Maybe someone else will want it too.
Well, like I said, I liked it. As soon as you put it on social media, I'm like, yeah, I'm picking this one up. I like this one.
I need to see some more Jace Berger in games doing his goal scoring thing, because I just want to rip off the Whataburger logo. Yes, Whataburger, BERGR.
Ha!
Or he and Stevens could combine for 5 goals in a game, and then we can have 5 guys, Berger and or 5 goals, burgers, and Coles.
My God, put a bad.
I hate it here. I hate it here.
I love you too.
Oh.
But that's everything for us. Thank you for watching. Like we said, subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. Every Monday, 7 o'clock. Otherwise, you know where to find us at the Odd. Loud and obnoxious, as always.
Yeah, you especially know where to find him.
Shout out to our favorite cameraman.
That too. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Go Utica.
Dogs!
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.